So, what is RWBY Grimm Eclipse? Put plainly, it's a third-person beat-em-up style game based on the highly acclaimed series RWBY, made by Rooster Teeth. Currently, the game is in early access via Steam for $14.99 and has a small slate of content. The game in its current state has a single campaign consisting of 4 levels, each taking place on some part of the world remnant. You also have 4 playable characters in which to choose from: Ruby Rose, Weiss Schnee, Blake Belladonna, and Yang Xiaolong. While the basic controls for the characters are identical, each of them presents a slightly varied style of play. RWBY plays as an overall fighter, excelling at long-range combat while possessing some decent CQC abilities. Each of her abilities usually have some form of AoE damage. Weiss, on the other hand, plays better as a heavily AoE-based character. Each of her basic attacks has a wide attack range, and 2 of her 3 abilities are able to attack multiple enemies at once. Blake plays as a mid-range heavy class type of character. Her attacks can be chained extremely easily, and each of her attacks are meant for extremely high damage. Her attacks are quite possibly the strongest out of all 4 characters. Yang plays as a sustained brawler, or a tank depending on how you set her up. Her attack chains are relentless and can be focused towards singular enemies or a small group for support. The basic controls for combat for each of the characters remains the same, with small variations to each of the attacks. You can use left click to do your basic melee attack, right click for your basic range attack, shift for your dodge, and space for jump. Unfortunately, you can't rebind your keys to change these settings, but that will probably come in a future update. As for the actual combat, however, you have a few options. You can chain your basic attacks, and if you use your range attack within the combo, you'll perform a higher damage, short-range blast attack instead of the rest of that combo. You alternatively have 3 abilities which are unique to each character. Every time you use one of your abilities, use up a slot of your power gauge. The only way to regain any of these power gauge slots are to either land 12 consecutive hits within a certain time period, as indicated within the small circular indicator in the bottom right hand corner of your screen, or by leveling up, which replenishes your gauge entirely. After leveling some of your abilities up, they may use more than 1 slot per attack. I've been mentioning the leveling system in this game, and that's a major point of interest it seems. Every time you defeat an enemy, you gain a certain amount of XP. After a certain amount of XP gain, you will level up and obtain an ability point. These can be used to either power up your abilities or to buff your hunters. Be warned, however, the amount of XP required to level up increases at a near exponential rate each time, and it becomes extremely difficult to level up with some exception. You can gain 25 XP from destroying objects and picking up XP orbs that may be within them. You can gain 50 XP from reviving a teammate who has gone down. You can also gain 50 XP for completing a wave in objective defense, and another for being the wave MVP in the same situation. You can gain 75 XP for completing an objective, or having a flawless wave in objective defense, meaning that no enemy damages the target. Lastly, you can gain a full 100 XP that is given to you and all teammates for picking up an artifact, of which there are a specific amount per level. Note that the XP is not split amongst the amount of players. You each get 100 XP. Another thing to note is the level cap. You can only get to level 10 before maxing out, meaning you will only have a maximum of 10 ability points to use throughout your campaign. Now, let's get a bit more technical about the game. The game itself is being made in the Unity engine, which is good for expecting quick and stable releases, but also means that the visual quality of the game will generally remain in that medium quality, cartoony environment, which on its own isn't a bad thing. The settings for the game also sort of reflect the simplicity of what's being set up so far. You can adjust your audio levels, your sensitivity levels, your resolution, and you can pick out one of 3 basic graphic settings: Potato, Standard, and Ultra. The options themselves are pretty limited, but it's probably to be expected that the team will update this in the future. During gameplay, most of the visuals remain consistent and smooth, without any major hiccups. However, there is an issue where the game seems to pause for a few moments when a lot of them are defeated simultaneously, or if a lot of particle effects go off in quick succession. This is notably an extremely large issue when using any hard-hitting or AoE-based abilities, as it could potentially freeze and crash your game, as has happened to me quite a few times. The camera controls are pretty simplistic, but due to that, you also have extremely limited camera movement. The up and down controls for the camera cut off at certain angles, which are extremely shallow and borderline annoying at times. character collisions are pretty much perfect, but collision with the environment occasionally feels very forced and jerky. This usually isn't a problem until you're trying to climb stairs or jump over obstacles. All the technical aspects aside, a major point that people sometimes may debate is this: is the game worth buying? More specifically, is the game worth $15? Looking at the amount of content, the honest answer is no, it is not. You currently only have a single campaign, which consists of 4 levels. You have 4 playable characters, which could really get maxed out in a single campaign run once you understand the basics of the game. However, while the content may not justify the price tag, there are a few things to note. If you're a really big fan of RWBY, then the game is definitely something that will appeal to you. The game has been officially stated to contribute to the canon of the series, and does give you a bit of an expansion to what exists outside of what is immediately apparent through the show. Another point to note is the fact that, while the game may be in early access, it's being created by a dedicated studio which doesn't seem to have any plans to cease development. Not only that, but the content that is within the game is extremely fun and consistent with their established universe, and also shows a lot of promise for what is to come. I personally say that the game is definitely worth the try for anybody who wants to support the developers, is a big fan of RWBY, wants to dump a few hours into a pretty decent beat-em-up game, or any combination of those 3. The game shows promise, and so far has actually received 2 small updates in its public release, both of which were focused on optimization, and allowing players to have a greater level of control to the game. Being said, the 3rd update, which is said to be a content and quality update, will be coming around the 2nd week of March 2016 as stated by the RT team themselves. I'll be making a video on that update a short time after it comes out. Let me know if you have any qualms, comments, or criticisms about what I've said. I'll look over what I can and take it into consideration. Until next time.